Hello, people of the internet. My summoner name is Winston, formerly Dresden Doll, and I'm a leagueaholic. So that was the introduction to my video I released about 3 months ago, entitled Quitting League of Legends After 12 Years Because of Vanguard. And now the time has finally come, after about 6 patches of delays. Starting with patch 14.9, Riot made it mandatory for players to install Vanguard in order to play League. Therefore, I was forced to uninstall the game prior to that, so I did end up uninstalling it on um, April 29th before the new patch. And yeah, just like I stated, I am a leagueaholic, so I am addicted to League. So this has been kind of hard to go cold turkey. I'm, 10 days sober now, yay. And I just wanted to make this video kind of talking about how I spent my last weeks of playing the game, but also a couple of other topics. So I'm going to break it down into 6 different parts. So number 1, I'm going to talk about why is League of Legends so addicting, why is it such a fun game, and why is it so hard to let it go. I'm also going to be talking about things that I will miss and things I won't be missing about the game. Number 2, I'm going to talk about ways in which I can still enjoy the game even though I'm not going to be actively playing it anymore, such as continuing to watch the esports scene, watching Arcane 2 whenever that comes out, and still keeping up with the lore. Number 3, I'm going to talk about how I spent my last weeks playing the game, because I did have a couple of goals in mind, knowing that I have a limited time to play, so I wanted to make sure I play certain champs, I do certain challenges for myself, and I especially chronicled my very last week of playing. I even saved the entirety of my last game, but yeah, I'm going to talk that a bit later on. Number 4, I'm going to show you how I uninstalled the Riot client, because they do not make it easy to uninstall at all. It's not like you can go to add remove programs and just click uninstall and that's it. You don't have the Riot client anymore. You have to manually delete the game from different folders. I had to follow a tutorial, so I'm going to try to help you out with that. Now, I don't know about Vanguard, since I deleted the Riot client before Vanguard came out, so that's going to be a bit more tricky if you haven't done that, but I'm going to try to find some solutions on Reddit for you. Number 5, I'm going to talk about the backlash that has occurred after Vanguard's release, because I knew it was going to be bad, but in some ways it ended up being even worse than what I was expecting. And I took plenty of screenshots from Reddit, Facebook, YouTube. Now the ones on Reddit have been massively deleted by Riot. About 43% of the comments at the point at which I checked had been deleted. So we will discuss about that. And then number 6, my final point, I'm just going to discuss about what I will be doing now, basically in life after the League, so to speak, and the future of my channel. So thank you so much ahead of time for watching this video, and also for the positive feedback on my prior 2 videos. I've been getting more views and comments lately ever since Vanguard's release. So I wanted to thank you so much, and I appreciate you. What makes games like League of Legends so fun and so addicting? According to educator and game designer Marc LeBlanc, in his paper A Formal Approach to Game Design and Game Research, there are 8 kinds of fun when it comes to creating a good video game. We have sensation, which is the game as a sense pleasure; fantasy, the game as make-believe; narrative, the game as drama; challenge, game as obstacle course; fellowship, the game as a social framework; discovery, game as uncharted territory; expression, game as self-discovery; and submission, the game as a pastime. When we're talking about sensations, the game as a sense pleasure, we're talking about audio and visual elements that go hand in hand to give the player a very satisfying, fulfilling experience. And I believe that the game designers of League of Legends were very purposeful with these elements, because it is so addicting. If you've ever paid attention to the sounds while you're playing, even like last hitting a minion, the little ka-ching that goes on when you get that last hit and you see the gold pop up, that is very addicting. It's very reminiscent of like casino slot machines, like you're earning for that little ka-ching, ka-ching every time you kill a minion. And the visual that goes with it too, or the sound that your passive makes when you proc it. on the champion or different abilities. Each champion comes with their own set of animations, voice lines, taunts. They all go hand in hand to create this very satisfying experience for you that you yearn. And you don't really hear this in every game, like even with the gold from the minions, you don't really hear that satisfying sound. So I feel like when you go to a different video game and you're waiting for that, you kind of miss it. You miss that little release of dopamine when you get that satisfying kill, whether it be a minion or a champ or a dragon baron, everything. All those reinforcing sounds like you really miss when you're playing other video games. Another sensation that I feel like we take for granted because it's just become second nature to us is the simple act of moving your character. I've never seen a game before where you click as much as you click in League of Legends. Like you're constantly clicking. If you've ever watched a pro player streaming, like watch a faker stream, all you hear is just the mouse, just click, 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 click. And I've never seen this with any other game. One of the first things that I was taught to do when playing was that you cannot stand still, because if you stand still, the enemy can very easily hit you. So you're supposed to just keep them second guessing, like not knowing which direction you're going to go. So you're just constantly clicking on your champion. And the way they designed the game, they made it very easy to turn. It's almost like a non-existent turn ratio in the game. It's just fun to move your champ around in all directions. It's very fast moving, and just the basic mechanics of the game are so enjoyable to play. Another visual element that we do tend to take for granted is the actual Summoner's Rift map, where the action takes place. This has also been dubbed the Fields of Justice in the lore, and it has been a constant ever since the game came out in October 27, 2009. It has stayed pretty much the same apart from a visual update in 2012, and when it was remade from scratch on November 12, 2014. But the basic structure of the map has remained the same. The main elements, we have a blue side and a red side. We have a top lane, a mid lane, and a bot lane. And on one side of the map, we have the dragon. On the other side, we have Baron Nashor. And each nexus is guarded by turrets and inhibitors. And it really closely mirrors itself. I mean, it's not exactly the same. There are differences. That's why lots of people prefer playing on the blue side. But it's as close to like a mirrored effect. And it has been a constant for a reason. I feel like we never get tired of Summoner's Rift. On occasion, it has been made to look different. They did that back in 2009 for the Snowdown Showdown event, where the map became snowy, there was fallen snow, the grass was replaced by white fields of snow. And in 2010, they had a Harrowing event in which they made the map look autumnal. I personally really love that map and I wish they would bring it back, but they haven't really done that. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of people decided to mod the map themselves. And I have used that in the past. They even had like a beach themed map, which was really fun. So this is another reason why Vanguard kind of sucks, because it's killed all the modding community. Like nobody can create custom skins or custom map skins anymore. In the past, we also had Twisted Tree Line, which was the second classic gameplay map for League. It was smaller than the Summoner's Rift. It was configured horizontally with 2 lanes flanking a neutral area. There were turrets placed alongside the length of each lane, and the Nexus was only defended by 1 single turret. It was a 3v3 game mode, so there was only 3 players on each team, each of them spawning with a certain amount of gold. And because the map was reduced, there was an accelerated level curve, which made for a shorter game, like a bloodier game with more kills. And this map was very beloved, so fans are still sad about the fact that Riot Games decided to remove it on November 19th, 2019 for the end of Season 9. Now there was another map called the Crystal Scar, the gameplay being called Dominion, and this was a circular map with 5 capture points, and unlike the other maps which feature laning, this one featured the capture and hold style of gameplay. I admit I didn't play this one as much as I did Summoner's Rift and Twisted Tree Line, but it was still like a 5v5 gameplay and it was still quite fun to play. However, Riot Games decided to get rid of this on February 22nd, 2016. So while all these other maps did not survive until the present day, and were cancelled, Summoner's Rift has somehow managed to survive for 15 years, and we are still not tired of it. We find it very comforting to be playing on the exact same map we were 15 years ago, with nothing changing. It just still feels the same. You know what to expect, but on the other hand, the game is still so unpredictable. There's so many variables, so many things that can happen, so the game still feels like a fresh experience every time you log in. When it comes to the fantasy element, every video game has this aspect, and it's a very important one. By means of fantasy, you become immersed in this other world. You're not your regular human self that does a 9 to 5 job. In this world, you could be a mage or a rogue or a knight or a demon. You could have different races. You could be a chameleon or a blob created in a laboratory, or a mad scientist. You could be a creature from the void or a spider queen. The possibilities are endless. I mean, this game has 168 champions currently that you can play. So when you're playing the game, you're just outside of your own reality, and it's the best kind of escape. Third on Marc LeBlanc's list of 8 kinds of fun when it comes to a good video game is the narrative aspect. Now, for League of Legends, this is a bit interesting because the narrative aspect isn't really involved in the gameplay in any way, apart from voice lines between some of the characters that reference the lore. However, they have a really rich story behind the game, behind all of the champions and the regions that they come from. Basically, the entirety of the League of Legends universe takes place in this magical earth called Runeterra, which is a plane of existence composed of the physical realm, which is an oblate spheroid planet, and the spirit realm. Now, Runeterra has 3 known continents that we know of: Valorant, Shurima, and the Kamavoran continent. And it has about 18 seas and 2 oceans, with several islands around them, like Ionia, the Serpent Isles. Some of the most known areas from Valorant are Demacia, Noxus, and Freljord, and each of the champions has a unique identity, like cultural identity, with these areas that they come from. So it makes them kind of unique and very interesting when you actually follow the story around it. And if you are interested in the lore, I highly recommend you read the League of Legends wiki, or even the official League of Legends page under the lore section, because it's really fascinating stuff. The challenge aspect that marks a good video game is definitely a huge part of League of Legends, as it is indeed a very challenging game. There's a series of obstacles that one must overcome, starting small from like the laning phase. You have to last hit as many minions as possible in order to acquire gold, so you can buy better and better items and become stronger. So you have to make sure you get solo kills, and then in the team fights you have to contribute to your team. Every role does a different thing. Whether you're a healer or you're a tank or you're a damage dealer, you have to be careful with your positioning. You also have to make sure you secure objectives like dragons, barons, buffs, and push together with your team for the ultimate goal of conquering the enemy's nexus.
Victory!
Number 5 on Marc LeBlanc's taxonomy of game pleasures is fellowship. This is a desire to interact with others for a common goal, working together with your teammates, and this is for better or for worse, big part of League of Legends, since it is a very team-oriented game. Now, the negative aspect of this is that maybe 1 in 10 games, if you're lucky, you're going to have a good team. Everybody's working really well together, bouncing off each other. The team fights are great. Everybody's really positive in the chat. But 9 out of 10 times, unfortunately, you're bound to have somebody that maybe has been having a rough day and they're already tilted going into the game, and they're either going to AFK or they're going to grief, or they're going to flame in the chat and kind of bring the whole mood down and bring the whole team down. So it's not going to matter if you've had a fantastic laning phase and you've won and you've snowballed and you think you can carry the game, but it's enough maybe for that one person to kind of bring the whole team down and cause your team to be defeated. Number 6 on Marc LeBlanc's list is a sense of discovery in a video game. And this, for League of Legends, this is true for both new and old players, because obviously for a new player, everything is a discovery. You're discovering how the map works, the rules of the game, each champion's abilities, what the items do. But even for old players, One of the advantages of League is that the game is constantly reinventing itself. There's about a new patch note every 2 to 3 weeks, and there's changes to the items, to the champions. Every season, there's usually like a major change that influences everything. So it kind of makes you feel like you're playing a brand new game. So this is one of the main advantages of League, is that they're always keeping it fresh. You never get bored of it. Number 7 on his list is expression. This has to do with identity, customization, self-representation. And for League of Legends players, this is usually the case when a person decides to be a one trick, meaning you like to just main one particular champ, you get really good with them, and that's mostly what you're known for. As YouTubers, the examples that come to mind are like Professor Akali or Swagseret, and then even certain pro players, even though obviously they have to have a larger champion pools, they're still remembered for mastering a certain champ, like the way Faker kind of reinvented Riven and made her do things that people were unaware that she could do. So this is what expression means in League of Legends, just doing something unique with your character or even having like a very unique build. As for me, I don't really consider myself a one trick, but there are definitely certain champions that I gravitate more towards. And lately it's been Nico for me. Before that, it was Nami. I've definitely clocked in a lot of games on them. Also on Brand, Vel'Koz, Ziggs, and Zillion, because I feel like he's very underrated and very strong. Very fun to play. So number 8, the last category under Mark LeBlanc's 8 kinds of fun in video games, is called submission, but it's also funny because sometimes he will refer to this as masochism, and this is the knowledge that you have to farm to level, you have to abide by certain rules, and you are willing to spend your time and your effort in order to, one, let's say, farm so you can get strong and win the game, and two, play a lot of ranked games in order to climb the ladder. So this is just the game as pastime, just things that you're willing to do and sacrifice in order to get good at the game. This is where League really snatches you. All the things I've talked about prior to this, all of these little addicting things that really get to you and get under your skin and just make you want to keep logging in and keep playing. And before you know it, you've been sitting in front of your computer playing League of Legends all day without realizing it. And that's when you know that you've become an addict. One thing I will for sure not miss is the broken MMR system, which, like I said, you could be playing a whole game. Let's say you've played 10 or 12 ranked games trying to climb up the rank ladder, and then you realize you have a lower LP than the one you started with. It just renders the whole experience frustrating, useless, fruitless. You just feel like you've wasted your whole day and you ended up worse than where you started. That can be a very frustrating experience. So I've already discussed how League of Legends was created by Riot Games to be a very fun and a very addicting game indeed, the textbook definition of a very addicting game, and how it's so easy to allure people in and convince them to log in every day and keep playing. I've also discussed things I'm going to be missing and things I won't be missing about the game, and now I'd like to move on to another topic, which is ways in which I can still engage with the League of Legends content even though I won't be playing the game anymore. And I've already mentioned one of them, that is the lore, because after 12 years of playing this game, I've definitely become very attached to these characters and their stories, and the least I can do, I feel like, is to continue reading up on the lore. And I want to give props here to all the designers, the animators, the writers of all these stories. And if you're interested in finding out more about League of Legends lore, I highly recommend Necrit's channel on YouTube. He has some really good deep dives, but he also has some excellent introductory videos if you want to check out more of the League lore. Then, of course, I've already mentioned I want to check out Arcane Season 2. I'm very excited about that. I'm curious where they're going to take the story and if we're going to explore some other regions that we haven't yet. And then the third thing that I can continue to enjoy is, of course, the esports scene. I have been keeping up with MSI. I've been really enjoying seeing the games, even though, of course, it makes me want to play the game, which I'm unable to do anymore. I'm going to continue to watch every World Championship like I have done since Season 2. Continue to root for Faker before he retires. I mean, he's the GOAT. He's been amazing. He's the only person that has won a World Championship 4 times. I also enjoy, following underdog stories like Defts. Like that was such an amazing world championship when he won after so many years trying to compete with Faker. And I also want to keep an eye out on the SKT Academy games because I'm really rooting for Reckless there. I feel like he's been doing amazing, even though the team didn't have very good results. But him as a player has really been amazing over there, and I want to continue to see his progress. And if you'd like to relive the golden days of the League of Legends esports, then there is no better channel on YouTube than GBay99. He has done like whole docu-series about different teams and different players from the past. It really takes you down memory lane. Like for me, it's amazing to remember, like I was there for those games, and he reminds me, he keeps track of everything that happened. He's currently working on a 5-part docu-series about Dev versus Faker. So yes, I highly recommend his channel for more esports content. So this is the part of the video where I'm probably going to get a little bit emotional because I'm talking about my last weeks of playing League of Legends before uninstalling. I ended up uninstalling on April 29th because the new patch was coming out on May 1st, the Vanguard patch. So I made sure I uninstalled before then. I also made sure I recorded this video of my gaming setup. I have an iBuyPower PC and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 350 graphics card, and I've been very happy with how those have been running. The sad part is that I was gifted this computer in order to play League, so I'm kind of bummed out that I can no longer play League with it. So as of now, I don't know when, if, and what games I'm going to pick up. But I also wanted to show you I have these little League merch. I have a Lilia figure, a Popstar Ari, a Jinx, a Lulu. I was also gifted a Thresh figure, and I have a Timo plushie, and then the Heimerdinger cup. I actually bought that at the 2015 MSI that I attended, which was the first ever MSI. So I kind of like my little League merch that I have, although looking at it now kind of makes me sad. So because I knew that my time was running out with League and I only had a couple of weeks left to play, even though in a way I was grateful for Riot for postponing Vanguard for about 2 months, 6 patches total, I knew that I had to maximize my time and achieve all the things that I hadn't. So apart from just playing my favorite champions, which I've already stated, Nico, Zillion, Ziggs, Vel'Koz, Sona, Soraka, and so on, I also wanted to make sure that I challenge myself and I play champs that I've played very little, or even some champs that I actually had never tried, even though I owned pretty much every champion in the game. So what I did for myself is I started this A to Z challenge for playing support, and I didn't just play typical support. Like I allowed myself to choose like off meta picks and just have fun with it, but I really wanted to stick to it. So because I still had plenty of weeks left to play, I was like, okay, let me do my A to Z challenge first, and then afterwards I can just enjoy playing my favorite champs and using a bunch of my favorite skins. Because when you think about how much money you spend on skins, like I'm sure I spent thousands of dollars within the years that I've been playing, even though yes, it's a free-to-play game, but I kept buying skins. I wanted to make sure at least that I play using those skins one last time. One of my favorite discoveries when I was doing my A to Z challenge of supports was actually Shaco support. Now, I had never played Shaco before. Obviously, I had played against him and I've always found him super annoying. But now I got to be the annoying one. I got to take advantage of his kit, and I've had some amazing moments that I'm happy that I recorded and I saved the replays for. One of which was I managed to secure our blue buff from our own jungle when there were 4 other enemy players trying to steal it, and I somehow managed to secure it with my Shaco box. Then another play was I had this Lee trying to chase me down, and I managed to swap my clone around with myself, so he ended up like hopping on the clone and fearing himself, and that was super fun. I just had so many fun outplays, and there's just so many things you can do. And people always doubt me, like, oh, why are you playing Shaco support? This sucks. But then I end up carrying the games and getting so many kills, and I'm securing so many dragons for my team. it's just been a lot of fun. I'm really happy that I challenged myself to play all these new champs because I never would have discovered Shaco support otherwise. I also played Camille, which is a champion I had never played before in any position, and I think she is actually a really strong support. I feel like she's very underrated as a support because her kit is very OP. And then I also had some really nice dragon steals on Ashe and on Fiddlesticks and on Brand. I played Hui for the first time ever too, and he's super fun, though he's a little bit challenging to play because you gotta keep track of all those abilities. Another fun moment was when I was playing Blitzcrank, which I really don't play very often, and I had kind of this crazy escape from Fizz, and I flashed over the Baron pit and he chased me and I managed to get a kill on him before, I mean, he also killed me, but it was still very satisfying to kill a Fizz because you know how slippery they are. I also had a lot of fun Leona games, which I hadn't played in a while because I find that tanks are just not as fun to play, though I mean, if you really get tanky, you're unkillable and that's super fun. But I actually used her solar skin during the solar eclipse recently, and I had a really fun game where like I managed to escape these 3 people trying to kill me and then I got a bunch of kills back on the tower, so that was super fun. And then I also managed to save my jungle Talia at the last moment and I got a double kill. So just kind of being reminded of a bunch of these champs that I had played years ago and I kind of left alone. You kind of tend to focus on just like a small number of champions when there's like so many out there. Like I said, there's like 168 champions available to play right now. And it was just fun rediscovering a bunch of them. In my last week, I also had this amazing play where I was playing Zillion and my buddy was playing Ashe. And in the last team fight, both of our Nexuses were exposed. And I somehow managed to like flash in Shurelia's and get to him at the last moment and ult him with my Zillion ult. And basically, once he revived, we managed to finish the team off and win. And I really feel like I contributed a lot to us winning because it was a really close game. Then, you know, I had other moments where I saved his life with Zillion. There was also this crazy game where Tom Kench saved us at the very last moment. It was one of those base race games, and he managed to like kill the enemy Nasus just in time. The last week was like a really crazy week of gameplay, plus me and my buddy always like to choose these really weird picks. Like we've done Bel'Veth and Vel'Koz before. We just call it Bel'Vel, like, you know, since we're both from the Void. And then he likes to play like Jarvan 4 bot or Mordekaiser bot. Set, he plays Set a lot. Like actually our very last game, he played Set and I played Nico support, and you know we did land on a win. And it was a very long runtime for that game. Like we ended up lasting like 44 minutes and 44 seconds, which I was joking that Jin would like that number. So we had like a really good time, and I'm happy that I got to play with him as much as possible before the end. Like we played till the last night on the 29th, and he even got a pentakill with Caitlyn. I'm actually going to show you guys his pentakill because it was awesome. And then, you know, a couple of months back, he also had another amazing one on Jinx. And what he taught me was that, you know, no matter how much your team wants to quit and everybody gives up, he's definitely encouraged me to like keep playing and not give up on the game. And we've won so many games that way. You know, when other people, everybody wanted to quit, and yeah, they would say they were keeping them hostage, but we ended up winning. So in the end, I feel like we showed people that, you know, it's not as hopeless as it seems. Like the game is not lost, and we've won many games that way. So in my last week of playing, I also wanted to make sure that I play some of my favorite skins, and one of them was actually DJ Sona, which I hadn't played in a very long time, even though it is an ultimate skin and it was quite expensive when I bought it. But it's really cool. Like it changes her appearance, and the music that she's playing is heard by all of the players in the game. So that's kind of cool, and I forgot how good that skin was. I also wanted to make sure that I play Forecast Janna because I still think that's the best Janna skin. I find it so funny and so charming, and I always enjoy playing it. And it was a big deal at the time when it first came out. It was like the first time that the champion had a major visual change for his skin. And of course, I had to make sure I play my favorite Nico skins. I played Shanghai Scrolls, Nico, and the Street Demon one. I think those two are my favorite, even though I do like the Star Guardian one. And I'm still kind of salty that the only skin that I do not have for Nico is the Prestige Star Guardian one. But it's so hard to get that one. But yeah, that was the only one missing from my collection. And there are just three more skins that I want to mention real quick. One of them is the Dawnbringer Soraka skin. I think it's beautiful, but also like her little animation with the banana is really funny, and I always like to replay that one. And then the second one is the Dark Cosmic Lux. That's one of my favorite skins in the game. I feel like the visuals are so nice. Just the color palette and her effects and her voice lines are really cool. And last but not least is Space Groove Timo. I feel like Riot really outdid themselves with this one. Like they put in so much work, and he's so funny. He looks like an entire new champion. He just looks like this little disco flubber dude with his little cute little minions, and the music and the voice lines, especially the taunt, is like extra annoying, and that's what you want for your enemies. So of course I had to play Timo one more time as well using that skin. As I continued to play in that last week, I just kept getting increasingly more sad and depressed because I knew that I had to uninstall soon, and especially when I was playing my Nico games. So what I ended up doing is I created a bunch of custom games where I would just sit in Fountain, using every skin she has, including her base skin, and I would just do her little dances and her animations, just to kind of have that memory. I mean, I know I can find these on YouTube, but it's different when you can see your name over there, which Winston is my summoner name. So I made sure I recorded all of those, as many replays as I could, just so I could have those memories and I could still make content in the future as well. But that last night of playing was really rough, just knowing that each game was closer and closer to the end, because I knew I had to go to bed at some point. I ended up only sleeping like 3 hours that night because we try to play as many games as possible, me and my buddy. And the last game we played, like I said, he played Set Bot and I played Nico. He said it was very fitting to end like that. It was a good game. Like I said, it was 44 minutes, 44 seconds. It was one of those games that are very competitive. Nobody gives up. It's not like somebody wanted to surrender 20 minutes in. So it was like a really challenging game, competitive game. And there was a bit of a base race going on. I'm happy we ended on a win. That's what we wanted. I mean, I feel like I couldn't have gone to bed until I made sure that the last game was a win. And I only got 3 hours of sleep because I also wanted to record the full game. So what I did is I started the replay and I hit record on the whole thing. I'm like, I want to save my last game ever. And after I did that, then I had the whole challenge of uninstalling the Riot client. I mean, after I said goodbye to my buddy, and in the hopes that we'll play another game someday, but he also uninstalled. But yeah, after he logged off, I just followed the tutorial that I had found on YouTube, and I'm gonna guide you step by step too if you want to uninstall the Riot client and you don't know how to properly do that, because you have to make sure you do certain things or you won't be able to uninstall it. Like Riot was not messing around with this. They made it super hard to uninstall. It's not like your average program. You just click on install and boom, it's gone. No, you gotta like wipe this thing from your computer like a cancer. So I can only imagine how much worse it is for Vanguard. So in this next part, I'm just gonna show you exactly how I uninstall. I wasn't able to do like a video capture, but I did take screenshots of every step. So I'm going to show you how to uninstall League. But yeah, it's been 10 days now, 11 days now since I last played the game. Yeah. It's not easy. It's hard. The withdrawals are real, the urge to play, but I know I made the right decision because of the backlash and everything that's happened since Vanguard has been released. So here are all the steps that you have to follow to make sure that you're uninstalling the Riot client properly. Now, first thing you're going to want to do is when you open the Riot client, so you're not going to click on the League of Legends icon, but you're going to open the actual Riot client, and you're going to go to settings, and you're going to see two different settings there. One of them says open Riot client on startup. You're going to make sure that you untick that option. And there's another one that says minimize the system tray, and you're going to want to hit the exit application instead. So make sure that these are your settings in the Riot client before you try doing anything. And now after that, close the game. Like let's say you were playing a game, just exit League of Legends. And then you're going to make sure you go to your taskbar on the bottom and exit Riot from the taskbar. This is very important. Then you're going to go to your desktop and click the Riot icon once, and then right click, and then click open file location. At the top, you're going to click Riot Games, and then you're going to click Windows C. Then you're going to right click Riot Games and you're going to delete it. So just use like the trash little icon. Then you're going to go back to your Windows icon on your taskbar and you're going to type run. After you do that, you're going to click on run app. Then you're going to proceed to open app data. Then you're going to go to local, Riot Games, and then when you find Riot Games, again, you delete it. Just use the trash. Then you're going to type search on the bottom next to your Windows icon. You're going to type Riot Client. You're going to type Open File Location, Riot Games. Going to click back on Programs. Then you're going to right click and then you're going to delete. And then after you did all that, just make sure you empty Recycle Bin. Now when you go to the bottom in the little search section next to your Windows icon and you type in Riot Games, or just Riot, there shouldn't be anything showing up. It should just be like a general search like off of the internet. So that's how you'll know that you've completely uninstalled the Riot client. So make sure that everything was exited beforehand. Like I said, as long as you didn't have it in your taskbar, it should be good, you know. But it is kind of amazing how hard Riot makes it for their game to be uninstalled. It's kind of ridiculous. Now let us talk about the backlash that has occurred ever since Vanguard was released. Like I've stated before, it came out on 14.9 on May 1st, and the very same day at about 11:48 p.m., we got this article from .esports, which states the following. Vanguard just went live, and League of Legends players are already claiming it's bricking their PCs. The anti-Vanguard uproar from the League community has been very swift and very loud. The claims, which are mainly shared on Twitter but also on Reddit and Facebook, range from Vanguard preventing startup programs from firing correctly to other programs crashing when the anti-cheat software loads, and some have even suggested Riot's kernel program has been tampering with unrelated files. Others simply dubbed it malware and declared they would be quitting League until the program stopped bricking PCs. One high-profile example came from famed League creator LS, who reported both of his computers breaking after Vanguard was installed on May 1st. He said he fixed one by taking out the CMOS battery and forcing BIOS access, but suggested his other computer is still bricked. Now, Riot has publicly responded to Vanguard complaints after Dot's request for comments, suggesting in a lengthy Reddit post that just 0.3% of League players have reported issues. None of those issues the devs added were related to PCs bricking after the update. So, now I have read Riot's big post about Vanguard and them defending it, and the fact that they say 0.03% is just such a big PR move. Like what they're doing is making it sound like, oh, it's such a small percentage and hardly anybody's having issues. But the thing is, the 0.03%, that's just people that reported a bug. And in order to report a bug, you have to be able to log into the client. And there's actually a lot of cases of people where they can't even log into the client. So how can they open up a ticket with you and complain when they're unable to start up the League client ever since Vanguard came out? So that statistic is way wrong. Like even the statistic before they came out with Vanguard was off because they kind of piled the bots, the scripters, everybody in the same category, making it seem like, such a dire situation. Like 1 out of 5 games has a scripter, bot, or whatever. Apart from their PR techniques, Riot has also been mass deleting a lot of Reddit posts, basically anybody that's mentioning Vanguard and complaining about it. And I found this channel called Some Ordinary Gamers on YouTube, and Mutahar, I hope I didn't butcher his name, he used the Undit website, which is a website that allows you to see all the deleted comments on a Reddit thread, and he found out that it's like 43% of the comments, at least the day that he was checking, which was May 2nd, the day after Vanguard came out. It's probably more now. 43% of the comments have been deleted by Riot, and all of them were just users complaining about, blue screens, crashing, it breaking their computers, all of this. So they're just mass deleting every single comment. So that's why they make it sound like, oh, it's not so bad, because they're deleting every evidence of anybody complaining about it. Now, there was a certain Reddit post in particular that kind of caught my eye and made me a little bit emotional, because I can relate to this person so much, having been with this game for 12 years now. So I'd like to read it to you real quick. Vanguard. Hey there, I'm just a dude that started playing League right after beta. I've been here for everything, for the ups and the downs, from the earliest new champion releases where Freak used to joke about tons of damage, to picking up Riven after seeing Box do the first wall hops. I've played a lot, about an average of 1.5 games a year. I've had so much fun. This game has been more than just a game. I learned about being competitive, about having to deal with other humans, about studying different strategies to become better, about creativity. I've met friends online that became friends in real life. I used to meet my friends all with PCs and play 5v5s until late at night. Today I'm sad. This was a game that I thought I would play for the rest of my life. Like how some people pick up chess at a young age and then when they retire, they meet up with friends to have a match or two. I loved learning about it, following creators, watching competitive League. I was there when Faker and Ryu had their legendary 1v1. I was there for XPK's cast backdoor. I was there when we used to go ADC mid, or when Revive was a summoner spell, or when we tried adding a crit room to get lucky in lane. When dodging auto attacks was a stat, when Talon had a silence, when everyone was angry because Shyvana's a wyvern, not a dragon, when Fiora's ult was the only useful ability in her kit, when we were all hyped about Rengar and Kha'Zix's lore and releases. I was there for the tribunal, I was there for the online forum, I've been there for every new champ release, learned them, dove deeper into their kits, tried to find alternative builds to make them work. I think I've played most days since 2010, and only because I really liked it. Today I uninstall. I refuse to allow any company install a kernel-level software in my PC. It's just not right. I believe I would have done a lot for League. If this game was subscription-based, I would have paid for it, and I'm not proud of that. But that's where I draw the line. I don't expect anything from this post. League won't change their decision because of one person expressing their feels. But I feel like writing something because I've spent way too many hours into this for it to just end like that. I thought I had a bit more time before Vanguard hit. I had planned on playing a few games today. I guess I'll find something else to do. Man, this post really got to me. I mean, I can just recall all the things he mentioned and how much the game has changed and how much we've changed with it. I mean, we've been growing up with the game for all these years. So yeah, when people say like, oh, stop complaining about Vanguard, just uninstall, it's really not that easy. I mean, this game has been a huge part of our lives and it's really hard to let it go. And yes, we're addicted to it, so it's like an addiction and it's never easy to let go of an addiction. So Riot doing this, like I feel like they really did not think it through. Like they're gonna lose so many players, and that's another thing. They're not gonna disclose how many players they've lost, but I am convinced that they have lost a lot. Some people, like me, they just wanted to uninstall the game before Vanguard, but some people just woke up overnight and all of a sudden they just couldn't run the game. So some didn't even know that Vanguard was coming. Not everybody's keeping up with the news, so they were just surprised all of a sudden, oh, I can't play League anymore. So I think that this is horrible. This is a horrible move on their part, and it's affecting these longtime players, like people that have spent so much money, so much time in the game, and that truly love the game, and they're just forced to quit overnight because of Vanguard. So shame on you, Riot, for doing this. It's an absolutely horrible move, and I really hope that you live to regret it. Life after League. So what am I going to do now that I can't play League anymore? I've got all this time on my hands that I don't know what to do with. Like I said, I'm going to continue engaging with the content via lore, esports, and watching Arcane when it comes out. But apart from that, I guess it's time to stop ignoring responsibilities and life and just go outside, touch grass, focus on my hobbies and my passions. I for sure have been way more productive in the past when I stopped playing League. And as for the future of my channel, I'm already planning on a huge project. So my next video is going to be a sort of personal video game history, because I've been playing video games for many years and I've even played like Atari, Commodore, old school MS-DOS games, older PC games, and then a couple of console, but I'm not a huge console gamer. But I've already written down a full list of all the games I remember playing, and it's really taking me back. It's making me very nostalgic, and I'm excited to share that with you. It's going to be a really big project. I haven't decided if it's going to be just one long video or I'm going to break it into parts, but I'm super excited about that. And I still have plenty of replays, recordings of my League content, so I can still post some League videos as well. I might even make one about the lore, and then one about Arcane 2 when it comes out. So I just wanted to thank everybody for all the support, the views, and the comments on my videos so far. I really appreciate you so much. I never thought that people would care about what I had to say. So just thank you so much for listening and for your support. And for those of you that have quit playing League just like me, just stay strong, stay positive, and I'm sure we're gonna find some other game to play. Some have already suggested Dota 2 or Smite. I'm sure there's something out there. But if not, just I guess play the game of life and do all the things that you've been avoiding, procrastinating because of League, because the game is definitely good at doing that, making you only focus on the game and ignoring everything else in your life. So just now is the time to do all those things that you put on the back burner. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one.